Hello, everyone. Hello, Grandmaster. I'm very humbled and honored to be here learning with you and trying to explain. Chapter 4, The Karmic Effects of Sentient Beings of Jambudvipa. At this time, Earth Store Bodhisattva told Buddha respectfully, World-honored one, your blessings enable me to have countless manifestations in countless worlds, to save all sentient beings with bad karma. Without your divine blessing, it's impossible for me to do that. Now, with your compassionate and trusting, from this moment on until the arrival of Maitreya Buddha, I must help and save all the sentient beings in the 6 realms. World-honored one, please don't worry. I'll definitely fulfill your entrustment. Then, Buddha told Earth Store Bodhisattva, all beings who have not yet attained liberation are without permanence in their nature and consciousness. This part is talking about the pursuit of a higher spiritual state, the values of spiritual or mental pursuit will change according to the transformation of time and space. For example, the traditional Chinese scholars were inspired by traditional Chinese culture and philosophy, which were primarily influenced by the ways of Confucius and Mencius. It's a type of belief. The teachings of Confucius and Mencius are also beliefs. Such extensive belief systems influenced the development of behavioral standards. For example, they also advocate no stealing, being filial to parents, being loyal to the sovereign and loving the citizens. Speaking at a larger scale, it's also a belief. And such belief is actually a spiritual pursuit of a higher level in their study. It's a way of living. In the end, people might say, I want to learn the teachings of Confucius and Mencius too. For example, Buddhism is a belief with compassion as the principle. Many think it's a higher state of mind, they want this state too. Some may say, I believe in nothing, but I believe medical treatment can cure people's sickness directly. Medicine is my belief. It's also a pursuit and a belief, but it's not a religion, self-cultivation, or mantra. It's not a religious form, but a form of study called medical science. These are all higher states of mind. What is transformation of time and space? For example, nowadays, in Asia or South America, or even more in African countries, which are financially underdeveloped, many students can't afford a computer, and children haven't seen one yet. However, in the developed countries, especially in the North American and European schools, the students are very familiar with computers. Some are even better than specialists. In such an environment, they can learn about the world, and even the spiritual world. The growth of their knowledge is also influenced by the guidances they receive, politics, militaries, etc. There is a belief in a traditional tribe. If there is a leader in the tribe, the leader is their king. He'll tell people that if anyone uses the advanced technology, the god of death will go to them. Their god won't protect them. If the leader killed one or two who dared to try, they'd stay away from technology. Thus, their minds and thoughts can't be opened, right? How can they pursue a higher state of mind? No, they can't. They can only grovel before their tribal leader, so they can have a meal to eat. They won't have higher pursuits. Getting into a famous university is just a fantasy. They may think compassion and morality are fake. They may have never heard about those. Nowadays, in those famous universities such as Yale, Harvard, and Stanford, what do the students pursue? The advanced technology. Their philosophy is that only those who benefit the society and people can study in these universities. Not only do you need to have high scores, but also be responsible toward society. Earlier I mentioned about time and space. This is the time condition, and an area and country is the space. Simply put, it's your living environment. However, it'll be different if you're living in the palace of an undeveloped country. Every child has a computer. They have American teachers. They may learn 5 languages. The king requires the highest education for his children. He believes that education can reach the world. Learn English well and travel around the globe to understand the foreign economic situation, democracy and freedom, and political distribution. The king and the tribal leader understand this well. And thus, they can rule those who don't understand. This is also called, created by the environment. There's a Chinese saying, time creates heroes. I say time creates cowards and bandits too. What is time? Environment creates heroes and bandits. The environment can make you a good or bad person, or someone neither good nor bad. This is exactly why Buddha said that humans lack determination. Because you'll transform following the changes of time and space. If we only strive to survive and have no fortitude, firstly, we don't know what's good or bad and would do harmful things, thus, creating the karma of harm. However, we may also have done good deeds just in one thought. Say, you have a bread. When you see someone dying of starvation, you save his life by giving him a piece of bread. You may not do that out of wanting to practice compassion. You do that just from human nature. This is still a good deed. Okay, so let's continue to talk. Talk about the Sutra. Doing bad deeds will create bad karma. Doing good deeds yields good karma. Depending on the situations, they do virtuous and evil deeds. From what I said and what Buddha explained, you may understand that your good or bad deeds are done under the current environment. That's it. Revolving wheel-like through the 5 realms of samsara. It's the condition that human nature will forever drift with the flow. Just like the sun will rise in the east and set in the west every day, without stopping at any moment. It's always moving and rotating. The 5 realms is a concept of a huge time and space. And in such a huge 5-realm or 6-realm time-space, things keep rotating and never stop, including your good and bad deeds. Say, if you don't have money, would you stay at home resting? You dare not, right? People say, I'll learn Buddhism if one day I lose my job. Can you do that? No, you can't. You're almost like the dead. Your spirit is dead because you're scared. You have no time to learn. You may think of learning Buddhism after you retire. Few people can do that, especially in the first 3 years. You'll run around like a monkey without a direction. You've been busy working for 30 years, and suddenly you stop. You don't know what to do. When you were working, you felt exhausted. When you suddenly have nothing to do, you always want to do something. Your mind can't settle down. That's what our minds are like. We can't settle for a moment. When we need to calm down, another idea pops out. We can always find things to torture ourselves with, and keep our eyes, nose, tongue, body and mind busy. When we're poor, we're busy trying to make money. When we have money, we make investments. Finally, when we've lost all the money, we'll be busy making money again. It's as if we're in the casino. We keep rotating in the 5 or 6 realms. Confused and obstructed. This is what we do, right? Do you have a day that you're really calm and composed? Maybe you could have a moment, but it's fake. I'll continue with the sutra. Just like a fish. It's a fish in the sea. Where is it? Just like a fish swimming in the net. It's within the 6 realms. And there's a limit in each realm. For example, a lake. Although this fish is capable, it can only stay in the lake instead of the desert. The desert would be impossible for him, right? Despite how capable this fish is in the water, it's actually in a small circle going nowhere. So, the struggling condition of humanity is like this fish. After swimming for a long time, the fish thought that it had been to the end of the sea and back. Have you forgotten that you're still swimming in the net? You think that you're liberated but actually not. You're still in the net with no way out. Such kinds of sentient beings make me worry about them constantly. Buddha told Earth Store Bodhisattva, "You've made great vows in many past lives to save countless sinful sentient beings in the 6 realms. You have such great vows, and countless manifestations to carry them out. What do I have to worry about? I'm really relieved." What a touching conversation between Buddha and Earth Store Bodhisattva. When they were having this conversation, among the deities, there was a great Bodhisattva named Samadhi Mastery King Bodhisattva. He asked Buddha reverently, "What great vows did Earth Store Bodhisattva make in the past? How inconceivable are they that you praise and appreciate him so much? Buddha, would you please briefly explain this to us?" At that time, Buddha, the world-honored one, replied, "Listen closely. I'll tell you the details. Immeasurable eons ago. How many years are there in an eon? Countless. That means many, many years ago. There was a Buddha named All-Wisdom Accomplished Tathagata. His status and titles were exactly the same as Sakyamuni Buddha's, including teacher of the heavenly and human beings, leader of people to be tamed. He had immeasurable merits and virtues, perfect wisdom, and boundless divine power. It's about this meaning. These titles in Buddhist sutras are for those who have achieved Buddhahood, and thus, have the same status and titles as other Buddhas. These names are given to the Buddhahood achiever. These names are used habitually to describe that Buddha is omnipotent. All wisdom accomplished Tathagata. had a lifespan of 60,000 kalpas in that world. How long is 60,000 kalpas? It's almost coexisting with the universe. We don't have to calculate how long this Buddha will live. It's immeasurably long. In the past, before this Buddha became a monk, he was the king of a small country. He was also a very good friend of the king of the neighboring country. He was kind-hearted and always caring for his people. However, people of the neighboring country committed crimes frequently. The bad deeds included arson, murder, robbery, and fraud. These are common crimes. The public security was bad, but the king was very nice. Because of this, the two kings discussed various ways to help and educate the people and change such conditions. What did they do? One of the kings made his vow first. The reason for his vow was to change his people's criminal behaviors. He vowed to achieve Buddhahood as soon as possible, and then he could help those wrongdoing sentient beings to gain liberation and great wisdom, so that they wouldn't commit crimes again. This was the vow of one king. The other king's vow was, if he couldn't help all the sinful sentient beings, he wouldn't attain Buddhahood. He'd attain it only after he had helped everyone. The two kings had different vows. Alright, next, the sutra takes us back to the scene of the assembly. Sakyamuni Buddha told Samadhi Mastery King Bodhisattva, the king who vowed to become a Buddha early, is all wisdom accomplished Tathagata. Anyone called Tathagata, Buddha, or the world-honored one, is a Buddha. The other king who vowed to forever help the sinful sentient beings before attaining Buddhahood is now Earth Store Bodhisattva. Then, in another time and space of the past, immeasurable eons ago, another Buddha arose in the world. His name was Pure Lotus Eyes Tathagata. The lifespan of this Buddha was 40 eons. Don't ask how long his lifespan is in human years. It's immeasurable, much longer than the life of the earth. For the era in which Buddha is not in the human world, Buddha gave it a name. Since Buddha is not here in person, it's called the Age of Semblance Dharma. What does it mean? It means sentient beings can only see pagodas, Buddha statues, and other things representing the Buddha. During the Age of Semblance Dharma, there was an arhat helping sentient beings. Among the sentient beings he was teaching, he came across a woman. This woman's name was Bright Eyes. Bright Eyes made lots of delicious food and offered to the arhat. Usually, an arhat is a self-cultivator who has reached a certain state of self-cultivation. Usually, those who make offerings have a need or a problem. Maybe their child is sick or husband's business is not good, something must have happened, or they need the blessing. So the arhat asked, "What do you need help with?" Bright Eyes replied, "My mother has just passed away. I want to do something for her. I also want to know where she is now." Many people miss their deceased loved ones a lot and will worry about where they have gone. Right? It's not as simple as buying a ticket to London or New York. Where have the souls of the dead gone? Are they on a train or a plane? The living worry about the deceased. The Arhat took pity on Bright Eyes. He used his divine eye to find Bright Eyes' mother. Soon, he said, I have found your mother in a hell. She is suffering in agony. She was punished. After seeing this, the Arhat asked Bright Eyes, what did she do when she was alive? Why is she suffering great pain in the evil realm of hell? Bright Eyes replied, my mother had a bad habit. She loved to eat fish, shrimp, turtle, crab, and other water animals, especially their eggs. For example, inside a fish stomach, there is a lot of roe, at least thousands of fish eggs. That's how it is. She particularly loved to eat these kinds of food. How much roe is there in a fish stomach? She just couldn't count it, and she'd been eating them all her life. So, Venerable One, please take pity. How can my mother be saved? Bright Eyes was very insightful. She could have just cried after that. But she begged to save her mom. She'd found the right person too. The Arhat was moved by her filial piety and gave her a solution. He told her, with your utmost sincerity, chant the name of pure lotus eyes Tathagata. This is excellent. What's even better? You can also sculpt a statue of pure lotus eyes Tathagata, or paint an image and make offerings. If your relatives and friends would also make offerings, the merits gained could help me rescue your mom from hell, and she'd be liberated. That's the method he gave to Bright Eyes. After Bright Eyes heard the Arhat's advice, she sold her assets and used the money to hire someone to paint and sculpt the statue. She sold her assets, things she loved, and her jewelry, and used the money to make the statue and image of pure lotus eyes Tathagata. Then with her utmost reverence, she paid respect and made offering to the Tathagata. One night, Bright Eyes saw the Buddha had come into her dream, with a golden body exuding golden light. How big was the golden light? It was like the most unbelievable, highest mountain, emitting the greatest illumination. It was indescribable. In the dream, Buddha told Bright Eyes, your mother will soon be reborn into your family. Also, after her birth, when she feels cold and hungry, she will speak. That meant she could speak right after birth. Soon after that, a maid in Bright Eyes' family gave birth to a baby. A maid is a servant, and she gave birth to a baby. Within the first 3 days, the baby could speak and bow. The baby spoke to Bright Eyes with mournful eyes. It's strange for a newborn baby to speak. It was the reincarnation of her mother. She said, in this world, there is the law of causality. You'll be rewarded for your good deeds, and punished for bad deeds. I'd eaten so many fish, shrimps, turtles, and crabs, so I fell into the great hell. A person must bear the karmic consequences by themselves. One has to bear their own retribution. I was your mother. I hadn't seen light for a long, long time. That place was a hell without sun, moon, or brightness. She was beaten and punished by various means. Ever since I died, I was always in agony in the great hell, suffering all kinds of torment. The baby continued talking to Bright Eyes. I am very grateful for your virtuous acts. That helped me be reborn here. Given my previous sins, it's lucky for me to have your virtues, to save me from the great hell. To be reborn from hell into a human is not easy. Bright Eyes was a virtuous person. Thus, her mother could use her merits and virtues to be liberated from hell. However, due to her sinful past, she could only be reborn as a child of a woman from the lower caste. She still had to suffer and could live only for 13 years. She knew it was her retribution. When she would die in this life, she would fall into the evil realm, hell, again. Since you've saved me from hell and allowed me be reborn in the lower caste, can you help prevent my return to hell? The baby begged Bright Eyes. After Bright Eyes heard the baby saying that, she was very sure that it was her mother. Other people wouldn't know those things. So there was no doubt. She cried sadly and said to her mother, "Since you're my mother, you should know your past wrongdoings and the bad karma yielded that made you fall into the evil realm." The maid's baby said, "Because of killing and slandering, I received such karmic effects. Your merits from worshipping and chanting to Buddha rescued me, so I can be released temporarily. Otherwise, I'd never have been able to leave the evil realm of hell." Bright Eyes asked the baby again, "What are the karmic punishments in hell? Can you tell me about it?" The baby said, "I couldn't finish describing how I suffered in a million years. It's indescribable." After hearing that, Bright Eyes cried out loud. She looked up to the sky, put her palms together and vowed, "I wish my mother could forever leave hell. When she has finished the 13 years of this life, please eliminate the karma of her wrongdoings. May she never fall into the 3 evil realms again. All Buddhas, please have compassion and pity on me. With your empathy, would you please listen to the vows I make for my mother? Please allow my mother to forever leave the 3 evil realms, those low and mean, and never be reborn as a woman." In the past, for various reasons, many women didn't like to be born as women. She then continued and strengthened her vow and said, "I vow that from today onward, through hundreds of thousands of eons, in all the worlds, hells, and the 3 evil realms, wherever there are sinful sentient beings, I will rescue them, so they may forever leave the 3 evil realms of hell, ghosts and animals. When all of them attain Buddhahood and achieve enlightenment, shall I attain Buddhahood." What a great vow! After she had made such a great vow, she heard Pure Lotus Eyes Tathagata saying to her, "Bright Eyes, you have great compassion to make such a great vow for your mother. Because of your great vow, your mother's karmic effects have changed. I can see that after finishing her 13-year lifespan, your mother will be reborn to a family of self-cultivators. A Brahmin family. A Brahmin is a person who practices asceticism. A self-cultivator. She'll become a self-cultivator who can live to 100. After that, she'll be reborn to the land of no sorrow. This is a pure land. It could be the Western Pure Land. She'll have an immeasurable lifespan. The lifespan in the Pure Land is actually the same as the Buddha's. It's endless. Over such a long period of time, she will cultivate Buddhism diligently. In the end, Bright Eyes' mother will attain Buddhahood and help countless sentient beings. How many? As many as there are sands in the Ganges River. This includes humans and all beings. Now, let's return to the Trayastrimsa heaven, where Sakyamuni Buddha was teaching. Buddha said to Samadhi Mastery King Bodhisattva, the Arhat who helped Bright Eyes with merits back then, is now inexhaustible awareness Bodhisattva. As in several sutras, inexhaustible awareness Bodhisattva asked Buddha questions for the benefit of sentient beings. So his name was well known and had immeasurable merits. Bright Eye's mother used to love eating fish, shrimp, crab, etc. After entering hell, she was reborn as a baby with a short lifespan of 13 years. Bright Eye's mother is now Liberation Bodhisattva. Probably, she was in the assembly too. She had become a Bodhisattva. Who is Bright Eyes now? Earth Store Bodhisattva. Since a long, long time ago, Earth Store Bodhisattva had repeatedly and compassionately rescued his mother. To rescue his mother, he made great vows to benefit all sentient beings eternally. Since then until the far future, there may be people who are unkind and only do bad deeds. People who don't believe in causality and engage in misconduct and false speech, which includes lying, talking nonsense, slandering, gossiping, sowing discord, and even slandering Mahayana. These sinful sentient beings will definitely fall into hell, or the three evil realms. Let me briefly talk about the difference between Mahayana and Theravada. Theravada is focused on cultivation. To eliminate one's greed, hatred, ignorance, arrogance, and doubt. What will they get in the end? No desire. Of course, not only this, there is a higher state. Their final achievement is being an Arhat. Arhat is not the same as a Buddha or Bodhisattva. Back then, their meditation method was what is now Buddhism in Southeast Asia. Some called it Hinayana, but it's better known as Theravada Buddhism. They don't recognize bodhisattvas too much. Almost all the bodhisattva statues are with long hair. And there are males and females. According to people's need, their image will vary, although their identity changes. Their mind is resolute. Their heart is like Earth Store Bodhisattvas, with great compassion to benefit all beings. Their image changes according to what people like. In summary, Theravada is based on meditation and a state of mind, which is called no desire. Meditation and no desire mean that I have no greed. I'm not greedy because I see the world clearly. I don't obsess over lust, I won't flatter. I won't swindle. I don't want to get wealthy. He sees through the world so he can purify himself. What about Mahayana? It focuses on aspiration and benefiting people. Taking action is important. Which one do you like more? Everyone's pick is different. I like both. And more of the Mahayana bodhisattvas who benefit sentient beings. If one has a kind root, one will have the chance to meet kind people and receive good guidance. If one could encourage others to rapidly take refuge in, worship and revere Earth Store Bodhisattva, one would be liberated from the three evil realms. How can there be such great merits and energy? Earth Store Bodhisattva saved countless sentient beings and heavenly beings. So his merits and energy are immense. So, when we take refuge in and revere Earth Store Bodhisattva, we'll be far away from the three evil realms. Just as Buddha said, there may be a person who reveres, praises, worships, and makes various kinds of offerings such as incense, flowers, beautiful clothes, treasures, jewelry and good food. By such aspirations and offerings, in the future, over incalculable eons and all time and space, the person will elevate to heaven to enjoy all the heavenly joy and beauty. Such beings might use up their merits in heaven, or they won't want to be in heaven. For example, I want to be in the human world. When they're in the human world, they can frequently be emperors or kings. Also, they can know the cause and effect of humans' history and future. They can read destiny. When they see you, they know your past and future. They have the ability to tell if a child has a promising future at a glance. In fact, most capable people are born with some extraordinary ability to become outstanding. Indeed, not every person is the same. You got it? Buddha continued, Samadhi Mastery King, Earth Store Bodhisattva has such incredible merit and supernormal power to widely benefit all sentient beings. Thus, all of you Bodhisattvas should remember what I say in this sutra. Expound and propagate it far and wide. This is very important. Samadhi Mastery King Bodhisattva replied reverently, My Buddha, please don't worry or have any concern. There are thousands of millions of bodhisattvas. We all have the same goal. Through Buddha's awesome supernormal power, we will expound this sutra widely in the human world to truly benefit the sentient beings. After Samadhi Mastery King spoke, he stood up, bowed and returned to his seat. Grandmaster JinBodhi teaches the Earth Store Bodhisattva's Vow Sutra. Chapter 4, The Karmic Effects of Sentient Beings of Jambudvipa. 2. At that time, the heavenly kings of the four directions stood up, paid respect to the Buddha and asked, World-honored one, throughout many long eons, Earth Store Bodhisattva has made such great vows and liberated countless beings. But why are there still many sentient beings in hell? Why is this? Please explain this to us. The Buddha told the four heavenly kings, Excellent. This is a meaningful question. Let me clarify it for you and all sentient beings of the future who have a chance to learn this, so you can all benefit from it. I will speak of what Earth Store Bodhisattva does in the Saha world, how he utilizes his great wisdom and supernormal powers to rescue and liberate sentient beings with compassion and sympathy. The four heavenly kings replied, Thank you, world-honored one. We listen joyfully. The Buddha told the four heavenly kings, since many long eons ago, Earth Store Bodhisattva has been guiding sentient beings across to liberation. He has not yet completed his vows. The Bodhisattva is compassionate and doesn't want to see any being suffer. He also sees that, during countless eons in the future, their causes of suffering are endless like vines. In my opinion, these causes of suffering stem from humanity's five poisons. People become not so innocent anymore as they grow up. Some gentlemen don't kill and rob directly, but they still can't hide their selfishness and ego. Humans are like that. Rarely is anyone a born bodhisattva with great compassion. That almost never happens. Selfishness always gets to people first. One may become altruistic after acquiring a high level of learning. Most people are all selfish at first. Selfishness is a part of survival. If animals don't hunt, they die of hunger. Humans do the same to rise to the top. All beings of the six realms are selfish because they want to survive. One might starve if they don't compete for it. They fight for sunlight, nutrients, and space. Whether it be a job or food, they must compete for it to survive. They risk their lives just to live longer. They do bad things, even killing, just to maintain life. Feeding yourself is hard enough, let alone feeding a few more mouths. Therefore, sacrificing oneself for the benefit and happiness of others rarely happens. In the long past, Earth Store Bodhisattva rescued his mother and other sentient beings. To fulfill his vows, he took action continuously, non-stop. The four heavenly kings wanted to know why there were still many beings in hell. The vines of karma. My understanding is that this is the basic nature of human beings. It's why you're a human, not a deity. For example, in an ordinary heaven, before reaching a supreme heaven, like the Trayastrimsa heaven, within the 6 realms, do those beings have desires? They have. They have desire as long as they eat. There is desire in that heaven. The higher heaven they are, the fewer desires they have. So humans, of course, have desires. Desires bring preferences, likes and dislikes. One might say, I like this. I dislike that. I fell in love at first sight. I hated it the moment I saw it. Now, there's a difference. You might labels almost everything as, I like, I don't like, etc. When we see people eating fancy food, like pizza, and we have just a piece of white bread, we might say, I like your pizza. I like your beautiful dress. Look, I'm still wearing old jeans. You like something and dislike other things. That is the nature of humans. So, why is it so hard to empty hell? It begins in our nature. All beings have greed since the day they were born. The same goes for the deities in the Trayastrimsa heaven. It's because you have not reached a higher realm, such as the eastern world of lapis lazuli or the Western world of ultimate bliss. You'd have no greed in those worlds. That's why the beings there are carefree, without worries, and joyful. They live as long as the heaven, the world, and the universe. Let's get back to Earth Store Bodhisattva. Therefore, he made great vows to liberate sentient beings on Earth, the world within the 6 realms, with various wise, elegant and suitable methods. Then, the Buddha continued, Earth Store Bodhisattva told those who kill that, because of their killing, they'd have a short lifespan in their next lifetime. This is their karma. People who like stealing and robbing would be punished with poverty. Their karmic consequence will be suffering in poverty. Those who engage in sexual misconduct would be reborn as pigeons and mandarin ducks. Here when we say pigeons, doves and mandarin ducks, we might have a warm feeling. What does it actually mean? Being worse than a bird or beast. Birds refers to animals with feathers. Beasts refers to animals that walk on 4 limbs. Don't associate it with grandeur, elegance, etc., which are not the meaning. It's a bad karmic consequence. To those who use harsh speech, he said that this leads to quarrels and fights in their family. He said that for people who harmed others with speech, this would lead to family disharmony. Loved ones compete and fight with each other. This is their karmic effect. To those who utter slander, many people gossip, slander, or insult others. People who say bad things and insult others would have the karmic consequence of having a short tongue or no tongue. They would have sores on their tongue or mouth ulcers. People who are always angry would have the karmic effect of an ugly appearance, and even physical abnormalities. To people who are petty or stingy, like a penny-pinching miser, the Bodhisattva would tell them that their prayers will not be answered. Nothing will go well for you. To those who are immoderate in consuming food and drink, Like people who often get drunk or those who eat more after they are full, no one can say they are overweight. People who eat and drink uncontrollably or compulsively would likely receive the karmic consequence of having no food, being hungry and thirsty. They'll also have a higher risk of throat illnesses, and even the karma of not being able to swallow. Be very careful. The consequences are told in detail. To those who indulge in hunting, especially those who kill deliberately, hunting frequently for the purpose of killing, he would tell them that one day, they'd lose their sanity. They might be crazy or manic, even want to kill others or themselves, and come to a disastrous end. About a decade ago, there was an American doctor. After being squeezed dry at work for the whole week for 8 hours a day, he'd go out hunting at the weekends to unwind. To him, hunting was not killing, it was having fun. I guess he'd lost count of how many animals he'd killed. So, during a hunting trip, he spotted a deer and took aim. When he pulled the trigger, nothing happened. He thought the rifle was poorly made, so he loaded another bullet. The deer was still there after he loaded his rifle. So, he pulled the trigger, and there was a loud bang. His gun barrel exploded, and he passed out. When he woke up, he found that his rifle was blown to pieces, and his right thumb was also missing. As a doctor, of course he knew that he had to find his severed thumb, to reattach it to his body as soon as possible. His fellow hunters also helped to find his missing thumb. So, they found his thumb, and rushed to the hospital to get it reattached. A month later, he decided to part ways with it. Why? He felt pain, excruciating pain. There was no solution for the pain. He couldn't alleviate it. He had no way out. He was an experienced doctor. So he decided to remove the thumb, turn it around and reattach it again. But it was still painful. He detached and reattached his thumb 3 to 4 times. When I met him, he didn't have a thumb. He removed it. His thumb turned black after a few surgeries. There's necrosis. If he didn't get rid of it, he might have lost an arm. He lost a finger. How did I met him? He was still in pain. Regular painkillers didn't work, so he used pain medication designed for end-stage cancer patients. Pain relief patches containing heroin or pethidine. It's like using opioids. He became addicted. Those patches had to be replaced after a few hours. It's like an anesthesia. So he couldn't feel pain for a while. When I met him, it was already 4 years after the accident. The pain never stopped. The good news is, when he came to me, I chanted for him first, then used my Dharma power on him. After 3 sessions, his pain vanished. Although he was pain-free, he was already addicted to the opioid patches. He would feel agitated without the patches. What if he used them less? He couldn't bear the pain. As an accurate shooter, he'd done a lot of killing. This is someone I met. Scary, huh? There's another person, a senior practitioner. She was 30 years older than me. She was in her 60s at the time. Everyone called her Gua. She was from the Greater Xing'an mountain range in northeast China. Her house was near the woods. Her father was a hunter. When her father was around the age of 73, he suddenly became crazy. After he lost his mind, he frequently ran out of the house naked, with his hunting rifle. His family chased after him to bring him back. He even shot at his family. He looked just fine on his normal days. Once, during the Lunar New Year, many relatives came to visit. His sister came to visit him after hearing that he was not well, thinking that a visit would comfort him. Seeing so many visitors, he then started to boast. With his double-barreled shotgun in hand, he said he didn't need to aim and he could take down anything with his gun. He boasted how precise he was. An agile rabbit is difficult to hunt, right? It's small and fast. The old man claimed no rabbits could escape from him. Maybe it was true. As he spoke, he took out a long rod which was used to clean a shotgun. Usually a bullet is loaded into the barrel. You can see whether there's a bullet or not. There were no bullets. Because he was crazy, his family hid the bullets for safety. He used the long rod to clean the inside of the barrel, running it up and down. There was no bullet in the barrel. He brought the barrel up and closed the break, and jokingly said to his sister, "You are the boar." He pulled the trigger, and a shot was fired. He shot a hole in his sister's belly. She died painfully on the spot. Seeing the death of his sister, he became crazy and ran away naked again. He ran into the woods. He acted like a rabbit, and tried to hide in a hole under a tree. He was crazy and mumbling, "You killed my family, over 30 of them." It was like a rabbit taking revenge. Sometimes it was like a deer and other times like a wolf. His voice, words and facial expression were like the animals he had killed. They came back to take revenge. This is an unusual illness. It's hard to understand. It's just like what the Buddha said. There's more. Gua's father had several children who were quite healthy. His children got married, and he had grandchildren. All his grandchildren suffered from poor health. They all had severe congenital disorders. Scary, right? It affects our children and generations of descendants. So, never kill on purpose. It's okay to add a little meat to your food, that's enough. No need to kill more than that. Let's continue. People who are rebellious and harm their parents, for example, injuring, hurting or even killing, would be punished by natural disasters, for example lightning, earthquakes, drowning, a roof collapse, or falling rocks, etc. These are life-threatening situations. Who is the killer? Heaven. Be careful, okay? Many children disrespect their parents out of ignorance. You're not a child anymore, so don't do that anymore. You would be killed by heaven. People who intentionally set fire to mountains or forests. This is a severe crime. First, plants are living beings too. Are humans the only sentient beings in this world? One of the types of sentient beings, yes. Plants are sentient beings too. And their number far exceeds other sentient beings. Lots of plants die when a forest is burned down. Secondly, many animals and insects call the forests home. Countless lives are lost when a forest is burned down. Numerous lives are killed in the wildfire. Thus, this is a severe crime. It says that such people will suddenly become insane. In the end, it's their karma to die in a psychotic episode. Parents or step-parents who are cruel to their children would be abused by their children in the next lifetime. They would be reborn in the animal realm. Aren't there many parents like this? This is what they would be reborn as. For example, you might be reborn as a farmer's draft animal, an ox. If you don't walk and plow the land, you'd be whipped, right? Farmers seldom treat their ox as a pet. Even dogs are seldom treated as pets in some poor countries. They wouldn't give their dog treats. If you were reborn in the animal realm, you'd definitely suffer. Now, if you're a parent, whether it's your biological child or adopted child, you cannot intentionally treat your children cruelly or abuse them. If you are an abusive parent, in the future, when you are reborn, your children would be able to beat you legally. You became their animal or beast. Nobody cares if you were beaten. As an ox, you might call out to your children, "I'm your mom," or "I'm your dad." Nobody would know what your mooing means. You might still be whipped. To those who use various tools to capture different types of birds, Bodhisattva said this would lead to separation of parents and children. This is their karmic effect. A separation of parents and children. Is this a big deal? I dare not tell you, as the result is too scary. For example, Bright Eye's mother was reborn as a human child, and she would die at the age of 13. That's also the pain of family separation, right? We've heard of children being kidnapped or abducted at a young age. It happens. It's sad and terrifying. To those who slander the three jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, it would lead to being blind, deaf or mute, etc. This is warning you to mind your speech. You may not believe that, but don't slander. Never slander the three jewels or self-cultivators. In principle, do not slander anyone, regardless of the reason. Never. Karmic punishment is real. Especially, don't slander a Buddhist practitioner. Most people who practice Buddhism are compassionate and kind. You may be powerful enough to punish them, insult them or treat them wrongfully, but you shall not escape your karmic punishments. What about people who damage statues of Buddha? We know that many of them became crazy. Their children won't end well either. People who slight Buddha Dharma or disrespect Buddhism would remain in hell and the three evil realms forever. They would never be freed. This is scary. Every second in the three evil realms is filled with extremely excruciating torture. People who intentionally destroy or illegally take possession of self-cultivators' assets. This includes stealing. The three jewels are the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. For example, the property or assets of a monastery, monk, or self-cultivator. He would tell such people that in their future, for millions of eons, they'd be reborn in the hell of incessant suffering forever. You would never be liberated. Nothing can save you. No one can rescue you. That's how heavy the punishment is. So, if you're thinking of slandering a Dharma practitioner, you should clearly understand that the consequences will be severe. Those who humiliate or make malicious accusations against male or female Dharma practitioners and monastics, such as raping, shaming, etc., would forever be reborn in the animal realm or hell realm. Those who harm living beings with boiling water, fire, knives, or axes will revolve in samsara, receiving the karmic effects of being burnt and killed. This is tragic. This is like watching a revenge drama. Since you killed my father, I would study martial arts for revenge. I took revenge by killing your father. And your son kills me in return. It's a karmic cycle. Two wrongs don't make a right. If you don't awaken, the retaliation will continue. This will not end well, everyone will suffer. Those who violate the precepts and rules of eating will be reborn as animals to suffer from hunger and thirst. People who are wasteful or don't know how to save, or people who like to splurge, will receive the karmic consequence of never getting anything they want. That's what I call being truly poor. Those who are conceited, arrogant, and bully others would be reborn to a lowly and servile being. They'd answer to orders, be beaten or scolded. It's their karma. Those who use divisive speech or angry insults would be reborn as an animal who doesn't have a tongue, or an animal that uses its tongue for a living. It's their karma. For example, becoming a worm, an oriole songbird, or a parrot. An animal that must have a tongue or will be born without one. Those who hold false views or fallacies will be reborn in remote and uncivilized lands. There's no culture and no food. The environment is uninhabitable. Sentient beings such as these, the actions of body, speech, and mind bear karma. Their body, speech, and mind generate bad karma. That results into thousands of different karmic effects. Too much. Each being's sufferings are different because their karma is different. This is just a brief introduction. There are various sentient beings on Earth, and they create different karma, as I described. Thus, they have various karmic effects. Earth Store Bodhisattva always uses great compassion, wisdom, and supernormal power to teach, guide, and influence them in thousands of ways. Sentient beings, who have committed the above-mentioned wrongdoings, would first experience their karmic consequences. Then, they would fall into the hells, and they will not be released for countless eons. Because these are serious crimes, they still fall into the hells after receiving their karmic effects. Some hells are inescapable. You can never ever leave those hells. The Buddha told the four heavenly kings, it's your duty to protect the people and countries. Thus, you should assist Earth Store Bodhisattva to educate and liberate sentient beings. Do not allow sentient beings to be deluded by these many kinds of karma. Hearing this, the four heavenly kings' eyes brimmed with tears. They were joyful and respectful. They praised Earth Store Bodhisattva's great merits. Then, they paid respect to the Buddha and withdrew to their seats. Master, the sutra describes that a Buddha has a lifespan of 60,000 eons. Some say it's 40 eons. On the other hand, it's often said that Buddha is everywhere. Master, please explain about a Buddha's lifespan, and how does he exist everywhere? Are Buddha's lifespan and existence related? A very good question indeed. I'm sure one who truly wants to learn Buddhism will want to know. I'm sure one who truly wants to learn Buddhism will want to know. If Buddha truly exists. Sakyamuni Buddha was born about 2,500 years ago. The records state that he was over 80 years old when he passed away. What's next? His physical body manifested as having passed away in this world. In Buddhism, it's called the perfect rest, or parinirvana. What is the perfect rest in Buddhism? Rest is the return to an absolutely pure state. Perfect is perfection or completeness. What is parinirvana? Parinirvana is eternal. He has returned to his eternal state. A state of life where one exists everywhere. This is the state of parinirvana. The concept of his existence is that not only does he exist, but when his physical human body becomes unusable, he attains the state where he can exist everywhere. It means that his life never ends, and it coexists with the entire universe. This is his state of being. Non-Buddhists say, your Buddha was given birth by a human mother. When his physical body dies, he no longer exists. Even some Buddhists didn't know. When he attained Buddhahood, he attained eternal existence, and could forever help sentient beings. This is the state of a Buddha. This is how Buddha truly exists, instead of death. During the age of semblance Dharma, the Buddha taught sentient beings in a new way. Some people said they have more respect toward Buddha statues than the living Buddhas. For example, I am an enlightened person. When you ask for my advice, we must have a conversation. For example, after I've answered your question, you could ask me, is that true? What if I were a statue that couldn't move, a stone statue? No matter what you asked me, I'd always have the same expression. You might say, wow, thank you. That's amazing. You might have a tingling sensation and feel inspired. You are being aware of yourself. No matter how wise we are, when one person has significantly more wisdom, it's hard to strike up a conversation. Also, if we were just having a normal conversation, you might not have a sense of respect. You could even doubt what I say. If you could talk to someone, they might not trust you. If you were a statue and could not talk, he might feel more respect and awe. As such, the Buddha takes a form for people to see. That's not the Buddha's true state. Maybe, it is easier to liberate sentient beings in this form. Sakyamuni Buddha helped countless sentient beings when he was a living person. The period when Buddhism helped the most people was 100 to 300 years after the Buddha's passing. At that time, there were no statues of Buddha. 300 years later, 300 to 500 years after the Buddha's passing, the culture of statue worshipping made its way to India from Greece. Even the modern Afghans were influenced by Greek culture. The divine is awe-inspiring. When there is a human form, it's easier to communicate and pay respect. When he has a human form, it's easier to communicate and pay respect. That's how statues came into being. People communicated with Buddha statues. With statues, more people could be helped. Who is Buddha? Look, here's a statue. Why doesn't he speak? The divine doesn't need to speak. That's all you need. So the Buddha helped many more people by his statues than when he was alive as a person. Think over my explanation. You'll understand. That's all I want to say. Thank you, Master. In this chapter, we learned that Bright Eyes rescued her mother from hell through chanting, making offerings and making great vows. What about us? If our relative had wrongdoings and fell into hell after their passing, how can we rescue them from suffering and help them attain happiness? Let me tell you the principle first. Humans are powerless in many situations and issues. Because of karma, conditions, environment, and many other reasons. There are many things that we cannot resolve by ourselves. For example, someone is terminally ill. Although he took medicine, visited doctors, had chemotherapy and radiation therapy, he still dies after spending lots of money. Because many diseases are incurable. Even if you use all of your money, humans can pay to get treated. But money doesn't guarantee being cured. What happens after death? Can one live a good life? These are some things that human beings cannot resolve. Can anyone say for sure they'll never have a car accident, or never get divorced? No one can guarantee, but sometimes, Buddha's blessings make it possible. For example, finding a good job or spouse. It's all possible. We have many evidences and testimonials. It makes the impossible possible. Someone who was expected to die soon lived on for another 10 years. This is not a coincidence. It's a miracle. There are many evidences of divine intervention. So, back to your question. How can we rescue our deceased relatives? You are incapable to hear, see, or know. And you can't do anything. So the method I want to teach everyone is asking Buddha for help. Buddhas, and especially Earth Store Bodhisattva, whose vow is to rescue sentient beings in the evil realms. Evil realms include the hells. The place that wrongdoers go is hell. Earth Store Bodhisattva had this vow for many eons. This time is incalculable in Earth years. He had been rescuing sentient beings from hell for a long time. As such, we'll ask for Buddha's and Earth Store Bodhisattva's help to rescue our deceased relatives from hell. Here, it emphasizes the first 49 days after someone's passing for the best results. Pray for Buddha's blessings. Pray that Earth Store Bodhisattva will guide your deceased relative across to the Pure Lands. To do that, you need merits. How did he end up in hell? He had too many wrongdoings. How do you make merits? First, you should repent and admit the wrongdoings. You can only repent when you admit your wrongdoings. If you say, "I'm not wrong," you won't repent. You can admit wrongdoings and repent on behalf of your deceased relatives. 2. Light offerings to Buddha. 3. Chanting, worshipping, and making offerings to Buddha. If you're making offerings, try to offer auspicious things. Don't worry, the Buddha won't eat your gemstones. If you're offering food, be careful of mice. It's better to offer foods that are easier to keep fresh. Be respectful when making offerings. The effect will be even better if you're making offerings at places of self-cultivation, because such places have great energy fields. You might have learned about. Over 20 years ago, a Japanese research of water crystals conducted by Mr. Masaru Emoto. One of the studies was in a place of self-cultivation, meditation, and rituals. The energy field was so powerful that it could alter the form of the water crystals. Even the voice of an accomplished practitioner is powerful. The powerful energy in a place of cultivation can help your deceased relatives with redemption and liberation. It should be more effective. That's why wise people go to temples, especially Buddhist temples with genuine self-cultivators, to offer light, give alms, and make offerings. People also invite accomplished masters to chant for their relatives who have just passed away. This works too. I encourage everyone to use these methods. Question 3. Why do we earn immeasurable merits from donating to help sculpt Buddha statues and paint Buddha images? Master, you mentioned the merits of sculpting statues and painting images of Buddha. Making offerings of incense or flowers is easy to comprehend. it shows our reverence. Why is there merit in sculpting Buddha statues, or painting Buddha images? Whether you worship Buddha statues or Buddha images, you'll usually place them in clean and sacred places, generally not at home. Right? Ancient people had ancestral temples, village temples, and Buddhist temples or monasteries. It's where people make offerings and pay reverences. A Buddha statue helps to benefit sentient beings. Making offerings to a Buddha statue at home can benefit your family. For example, in a village, there's a family making offerings to a Buddha statue at home, a small statue. This Buddha statue brings Buddha's blessings to everyone in the village. Everyone will be protected and blessed. That's how it is. Question: for why was Earth Store Bodhisattva born to ignorant mothers in several of his previous lifetimes? Master, Earth Store Bodhisattva is a very compassionate Bodhisattva. But why was he born to ignorant mothers in several of his previous lifetimes? Were these relationships helpful or unfortunate for the Bodhisattva? To me, from an emotional aspect, karma brings people together. Since it's a karmic connection, it's helpful. First of all, although the mother treated other people badly, even fish, shrimps, and self-cultivators, she is her child's Buddha and Bodhisattva. She committed wrongdoings and deserves to go to hell, right? Since she took good care of you, she is a Buddha, a Bodhisattva. She is definitely compassionate. She gives you good food and clothing. Good things that she wouldn't spend on for herself. Think about it. If a family has a daughter, does the daughter or the mother dress better? If the mother wears better clothing, I think that's wrong. The children usually has better clothes than their mother, right? When parents spend money on their children, that's compassion and love. Secondly, being a parent or an elderly doesn't make someone compassionate. The same goes for enlightenment achievement. You've seen many movies about old bandits, robbers, or con men. They are ruthless. Old age doesn't make them a kind person. People learn to be kind. It takes time. Earth Store Bodhisattva was inspired by such relationships to make greater and grander vows. Did you realize this? After rescuing his mother from hell so that she wouldn't suffer anymore, he continued to vow to save all sentient beings. That was a learning process. I think it's reasonable. If you want to become a runner, the fastest athlete, you need a lot of professional training. It takes years of training to become a national champion, let alone a world champion. The same goes for compassion and kindness. They are built over time. Do you remember what the Sutra says about human nature? The human nature is to change along with the environment that we are in. Depending on the situations, they do virtuous and evil deeds. The surroundings influence a person to be kind, evil, or anything in between. Remember the story of Mencius' mother moving house 3 times? Mencius' mother knew what was good for her son. To make sure her son grew up in a good environment and had kind influences, they settled down in a community with lots of scholars. 6 months after moving there, her son learned to recite a lot of poems and articles by heart. His neighbors were kind and cultured. They contributed to Mencius' great achievements of philosophy. He vowed to help everyone in the world. The child had great influence. That's why the story of Mencius' mother was passed down. There's another analogy which goes like this. If you often stay near someone working with red paint, you'd get stained red. If you work with black ink, you'd get stained black. In the past, you could recognize an ink maker immediately, because their face, hands, and clothes had many black stains from the ink. They'd get stained easily. The same goes for our behaviors. Environment and surroundings influence human behavior. Thus, human nature is impermanent. What needs to be done? As the Bodhisattvas teach and guide, we, human beings, need to learn. Here, we also learn about vows. There needs to be a good vow. Also, don't make a petty vow. For example, about 30 to 40 years ago in China, very few households had more than 10,000 Chinese yuan. That's when the Save 10,000 campaign was introduced. Many people vowed to have 10,000 yuan. When people earned 10,000 and then 30,000, they indulged in eating, drinking and gambling and became poor again. What happened? They couldn't handle the wealth. They became poor before they could even afford a motorcycle. And they did many bad things. It's because their vow was limited, have 10,000 yuan. They'd lose their mind if they made 1,000,000 yuan. They'd squander all the money on bad things because they couldn't control their arrogance. I have money. I'm not afraid of anyone. This is not the right way. Their life was ruined. So, compassion is learned. Compassion is learned. Also, don't make petty vows. Don't vow about monetary things. Make a noble and honorable vow. A vow that benefits the society. That would be the best. Today we'll be going through Chapter 5, the names of the hells. I'll explain in plain and common terms to help you understand better. At that time, Universal Virtuous Bodhisattva Mahasattva said, Earth Store Bodhisattva, for the sake of heavenly beings, dragon-like beings, the fourfold assembly, as well as for all sentient beings in the present and future, please speak about the names of the hells, so that sentient beings in the future may know of such results. Earth Store Bodhisattva replied, Benevolent One, now through the Buddhas and your awesome power, I will briefly speak about the names of the hells, the karmic effects of wrongdoing, and the bad consequences. Yes, let's just go through the names briefly. Benevolent One, to the east lies a mountain named Iron Enclosed. This mountain is completely dark without the light of the sun and moon. Yes, except for the flames that burn there to punish those who've sinned. There are no other sources of light, no sun, no moon, no stars, and no electricity or oil lamps to light the place. The only illumination present is from the flames of punishment. In Chinese, another name for hell translates to realm of darkness. The meaning of the name also extends to include all of the souls and spirits trapped there. The beings there are called hellish creatures. Among the many hells in the iron enclosed mountain, there is a great hell, one of the biggest, called extreme incessant suffering. There is another hell named Great Avicii. That's the hell of incessant suffering, also known as the relentless hell. Furthermore, there is also a hell named Four Corners, and the list continues. A hell named Flying Knives, a hell named Flaming Arrows, a hell named Squeezing Mountains, a hell named Piercing Spears, a hell named Iron Carts, a hell named Iron Beds, a hell named Iron Oxen, a hell named Iron Clothing, a hell named Thousand Blades, a hell named Iron Donkeys, a hell named Molten Bronze, a hell named Pillar Embracing, a hell named Flowing Blaze, a hell named Tongue Plowing, a hell named Head Chopping, a hell named Feet Ablaze, a hell named Eye Pecking, a hell named Iron Balls, a hell named Quarreling, a hell named Iron Axes, and a hell named Much Anger. Earth Store Bodhisattva continued, Benevolent One, Within the iron-enclosed mountain, there are hells such as these, which are limitless in number. You can tell that the iron-enclosed mountain is a huge place, as it can fit so many hells in it. Earth Store Bodhisattva then continues to list more. In addition, there is the hell of crying out, the hell of tongue plucking, the hell of excrement and urine, the hell of bronze locks, the hell of flaming elephants, the hell of flaming dogs, the hell of flaming horses, the hell of flaming oxen, the hell of flaming mountains, the hell of flaming rocks, the hell of flaming beds, the hell of flaming beams, the hell of flaming eagles, the hell of teeth sawing, the hell of skin peeling, the hell of blood drinking, the hell of hands burning, the hell of feet burning, the hell of hanging thorns, the hell of flaming houses, the hell of iron houses and the hell of flaming wolves. There are many more hells still, and the punishments get worse in each. Imagine having your hands and feet burned. The fires cannot be put out. You could have your tongue plucked out, your blood being drunk, etc. Every hell is as scary as it sounds. Earth Store Bodhisattva said further. Benevolent One. Such are the karmic effects of sentient beings who do evil. The force of karma is so great that it can rival Mount Sumeru in height, surpass the immense oceans in depth, and hinder one's cultivation of the noble path. When you're afflicted with karma, when a kind thought arises, evil thoughts and actions will soon erase all thoughts of good. You'll be trapped in the cycle of reincarnation for eternity. Therefore, sentient beings must not underestimate small wrongdoings and consider them harmless. After death, wrongdoers will be punished to the most exact detail of their karmic effects. Beings as closely related as fathers and children will part their respective ways. Even if they should meet, neither would consent to undergo the consequences in the other's place. Don't think about shouldering your parents' sins. Everyone pays for their own sins. No one can replace you. Now, through the Buddha's awesome power, I will speak about the karmic effects of wrongdoings. Please take a moment to hear these words. Universal Virtuous Bodhisattva replied, I have long known of the karmic effects. I hope Benevolent One will speak about them, so that at a later time, in the degenerate age of Dharma, all wrongdoers may hear your words and be moved to take refuge in the Buddha. Earth Store Bodhisattva said, the karmic effects of wrongdoing are like these. In some hells, the wrongdoers' tongues are taken out, and then plowed over by oxen. You can all imagine for yourselves what that might be like. I won't explain. I'm just telling you what's written in the Sutra. In some hells, the wrongdoers' hearts are taken out and eaten by yaksas. In some hells, the wrongdoers' bodies are cooked in cauldrons full of boiling liquid. In some hells, the wrongdoers are compelled to embrace red-hot, burning bronze pillars. In some hells, fires are burning everywhere and chasing wrongdoers to burn them. In some hells, it is frozen and icy at all times. There is nowhere to escape to. As soon as you're plunged in there, you freeze instantly. You freeze to death and then you're brought back to life to go through it all again. You're frozen to the point where the slightest impact will shatter you. Fragile just like ice. In some hells, there are limitless amounts of excrement and urine. In some hells, there are only flying caltrops. Caltrops are small ancient weapons with sharp spikes. The sharp spikes point out in multiple directions. In the hell of flying caltrops, these things fly around and pierce through wrongdoers' heads and bodies. The wrongdoer's body will be torn apart. In some hells, there are many flaming spears. Fires are spit out at wrongdoers, burning them alive. In some hells, the wrongdoers are struck solely on the chests and backs. In some hells, their hands and feet are burned specifically. In some hells, iron snakes twine around and strangle wrongdoers. Imagine snakes biting through your eyes and stomach. In some hells, iron dogs pursue wrongdoers. A regular dog bite is already bad enough. If a dog really went crazy and started attacking people, with no one around to stop it, that person will be bitten to death. Ferocious dogs that are not leashed are like wolves. Imagine these dogs in hell made of iron. Then, in some hells, iron mules trample wrongdoers. Very terrifying. Earth Store Bodhisattva continued. In each hell, there are hundreds of thousands of instruments, of karmic punishments, all made of bronze, iron, stone, or fire. Previously it mentioned bronze pillars, iron dogs, caltrops, etc. And stone and fire too, flaming spears, boiling liquid, remember? These four materials are manifested by the sentient being's karma. Earth Store Bodhisattva continued, if I were to speak in detail about the karmic effects of wrongdoing as they occur in the hells, there are furthermore thousands of wretched sufferings in every single hell. How much more so are the torments in the numerous hells? That's the end of chapter 5.
听到地狱的这些刑罚真是很恐怖。众生因为无明而犯下种种的罪业，所以才堕入到地狱中受这些刑罚。也想请教师父，那在人世间呢，我们也会遇到不如意、不顺利的事情。那这些事情的发生，是不是也是因为我们之前犯下的过错而导致的呢？
对，那我们这个人世间本来就是因为我们的
It's terrifying to hear about the different torments in hell. Sentient beings have sinned due to their ignorance. As a result, they are plunged into hell to be punished. Master, I would like to ask, in the world we're living in, we encounter many obstacles in life. Are these unfortunate things happening because of mistakes we made before? In this world, due to the mistakes we made before, we're bound by karmic retributions that make our lives miserable. Many people have been working hard for a long time, but still remain ignorant and learn nothing. Some make mistakes, invest wrongly, get the wrong job, marry the wrong partner, etc. In short, they mess up everything they do. The truth is, our lack of merits results in our bad luck. Someone wrote to me about his problem and asked me for my blessings. In all 3 of his previous jobs, he was terminated while still in his probation period. What is the reason? He needs to do more good deeds to gain some merits. Another man in his letter to me said, Master, my son was only ranked 10,000th out of 600,000 candidates in his university entrance exam. His son was ranked 10,000th out of his entire province. What do you guys think about this result? That's already quite good. Pretty good, right? I then asked for the child's photo, and the parents sent me their family photo. From a physiognomy perspective, the son already did very well. This child's wisdom has not awakened yet. His current achievement is already a blessing. It could have been a lot worse. We are karmically connected with our ancestors. A viewer sent me a letter. He said that around 2 to 3 times a month, he would experience sleep paralysis.
他这个
He couldn't move or
失魂与主
scream,
天有
but
关
he
系
could see
可
ghostly
能他
shadows
前
moving
世我
around.
觉得一直到吹到清代，也是150年前，
It
他
felt
就不
real
像
although he was
就
sleeping.
曾经
He
在那一
often
世
woke
当
up
中
feeling exhausted.
他的
He
亲
couldn't
生
even
母
open
亲
his eyes.
因
When he
为
told me
他们
about it,
结婚的
I
矛
knew
盾
straight
点
away.
他导
He
致
was
他结
missing a
婚的
piece of his
当中
spirit.
不愉快嘛，
Who
他
took it
亲生母
away?
亲为
His
此上吊自杀死
ancestors.
了。
His
所以那一世
ancestors were
当
not
这一世他
happy.
根本没这
Turns
事儿
out,
啊，
his
别人
condition
跟我
was
学
due
佛，
to his
但是
ancestors
你
being
还没有彻
unhappy
底
with
的
him.
去
In
为
his
你
previous
前
life,
世的
I felt that it
父
was
母
around the
做
Qing
点什么
dynasty.
功德，对不
150
对？
years ago,
他死
he
了之
was
后，他没有
unfilial
得
to
到
his
解脱，
parents. In
而
that
是他死了。
lifetime, his
所
mother
以
was
你要
very
为他做
troubled by
功
his
德，
marriage.
为他念佛，为他做功德，为他点
His
灯，
troubled
为
marriage
什么？
led to the
甚至
death
是
of
为
his
他
mother. She hung
啊
herself.
给这个道场多做点什么。因为
This
他这
all
个妈还
happened
没有
in
真
his
正彻底
previous
解决。
lifetime, not
虽然
this
没现在
current
没受
one.
大苦，
You're
但是
learning
在地
Buddha
狱，
Dharma
你
from
要做
me in
功德，
this life,
要
but
记
you
得
have
以
not
自己对
accumulated any
母亲的
merits
良
for your
心，
parents of
可不
past
是你今
lives,
世的母
right?
亲，是你前一世。所以我们在写
After
超
the
荐
mother
牌的时
died,
候，
she
都是
didn't
写
find
前
liberation.
七
Because
世、
she died by
七世
suicide,
乃
you
至
have to
到历代后
accumulate
世
merits
啊，
for her,
历代
chant
父
and
母，
offer
这是
lights
很
for
重
her.
要的。对，
He can even do
那么还
something
有
for
的
the
呢，
center on behalf
有
of
很多
her.
女士头痛和睡不好觉，还有腿
His
部
mother
腰
from
痛、
that
腿痛、妇科
lifetime
病，
is still
有很多
suffering.
是遇什么
She
呢？
is still
你那
suffering
个
in
流
hell
产
right now.
流产
She
孩
was your
子
mother in a
长期
past
他得
life.
不到解
Help
脱
her
之后啊，
accumulate
他一
merits.
直抓着
Since
你
she
不
was a
放，
parent of your
就
past
会让你
life,
变成病态。
when filling in the light
有
offering
一些
name
就会托梦
tablet,
给妈妈说，
write
你凭什
parents
么
of past 7
把我给杀了？
lifetimes,
不要，
or parents of all
对吧？
past
他有个
lifetimes,
怨恨
or
之心
all
不走。
ancestors.
当
This
这
is
个孩子
very
尤其是超
important.
过6个月以后，
Also, many women
6个月他
experience
身体基本上
headaches,
长全了，就只有
insomnia,
小。
and various
对，
pains.
他是这样。而有的时候你就怨恨，
What might these
那怎么
problems
办？
be
做
related
功
to?
德，
It might be due to your
是
aborted
为他做
child.
功德，
Your aborted child hasn't
让
achieved
佛
liberation
帮
and
着在他
refuses to
度，
leave you
要
alone.
这样子，对吧？
That's the reason for
这
your
这几
ailments.
天我们在文化华禅
Some
堂，
of them
你
will
接
even
受4
appear
位
in
女
your
士寒
dreams
冰掌，
demanding an answer from
寒
you.
冰掌是5公里的，是不是啊？这个不是，是流
Their
产造成的。
resentment has not
流产的
dissipated.
次数
This
多
is especially
啊，
true
以
for
及呢，当
fetuses
时流
older
产之
than
后身
6
体没有得
months.
到很
At
好的
6 months
保
or
养，
older, they're
变成
almost
寒冰
fully
掌。
grown,
对，有
just
时一个
very
也不看
small. It's developed
啊。
enough to hold
还有呢，
grudges.
那也
What
不
do you
是
do?
干活累
You
到
do
相当
good
程度，
deeds,
一滴汗不流。
accumulate merits on their
有的是
behalf,
他
and
修炼
pray
八
to
卦
the
好，
Buddha to
所以
liberate
个
them.
别的修炼
This
八
is
卦
the
的，
way.
那怎么
For the
办呢？
past few days,
做功德。
I've
还
met
有
4
当你
ladies
有这个
with
寒冰
ice
掌的时候呢，
palms. This
还有
is
一个
not
问
a
题，
special skill.
这个不
It
是
is
普通
caused by
元气
having
的
too
问
many
题，而是
abortions,
灵魂问题啊，
and the
怎么
lack
办？
of physical care
做
after
功
their
德，
abortions that
还要
caused
避
their
邪
cold
气。
palms.
还有一些和你有些恩怨的一些灵
Some
魂
of them
哈，
never
还
sweat.
有一些冤死鬼找地方等着
Some
人
will
啊，你
only
路过我就说
perspire
你
a
这样
little
子，
after
还有
intense
这样的，
manual
这
labor.
也是一种因
A
缘，
couple of them
但是
have
它可以
recovered
找
by
任何人都可
practicing
以，不一
energy
定找你，对
Bagua.
不对？那你还要
How
避
about
这
the
个邪，
others? Do more
就是
good
你身上要
deeds.
有法宝。
Also, in some
大家在电视上
cases,
看到过
cold
啊，
hands may not
法
be
宝的话，你
caused by
像
insufficient
不同教
energy.
派的有不同的法
Your
宝，
spirit
你
or
有十字
soul
架
may
的
be the problem.
啊，
Again,
有佛
do
珠
more
的，
good
有金
deeds,
刚杵的，
and get rid
拿
of
着钵
negative
的
and
啊，
evil
对吧？
energy. They
还
might
有佛
also be
像的，
vengeful
这都有，
spirits
还
or
有十字架
wandering
抽的东
ghosts
西。
that have possessed you.
尤其是在佛教之中呢，真正
These
大
are
师傅他
also
要修
karmic
行的，
connections.
他这个修
It
行之
may
后
happen to
接
anyone,
触过的
not
东
just
西，
you.
就会获得这样的佛
In
法
this
感应。
case, you
所以
need
你
some
在家里
instruments to help
和
ward
身上
off these
也
evil
有这样的宝
energies.
物啊，
I'm sure
你
you've
身体
seen them
体质
before
敏感
in
一些
movies.
啊，
Each
要顺
religion
利一
has
些，
their
要用
own
这些宝物护
instruments.
身。我们
For
靠自己的力
example,
量，人
crosses,
生的很多的
Buddhist
问题是对
malice,
付不了的，因为
vajrapesals,
我们自
singing
身的业力
bowls,
的呈现。
etc. And Buddha statues as well. Items blessed by great masters are helpful too. In Buddhism, great masters have to go through decades of practice. Whatever they touch is blessed and imbued with divine energy. You need such blessed items to keep you safe, especially if you've got a sensitive body type. You need these items to protect you from being harmed or disturbed. Mortals like us are too weak to solve problems like this. We often let good chances slip by due to our karmic debts. Those who are blessed may look confused in their daily lives, but their minds are clear when making big decisions. For example, when choosing partners, investing, buying properties, etc.
就会买到一个最有福气的房子。
Things often end up well when they do these things. That's being blessed. Those who are blessed can often get things done easily without breaking a
但
sweat.
是好风水不是一般地产经纪能看得懂的，也不是一般风水师
When
也
you
看
need
得
to
懂。
make big
他
decisions
用那
like
个好
buying
风
a
水，他住
house,
的那个房子就是一个好风水。
there are many things you need to
还有大家都
consider,
讨厌的
right?
职业，可是你就想，我
When
就
it
要做这
comes
个
to
职业，你不
selecting
是
the
不信，
house with the best
就是
feng
到
shui, you'd
最
end
终
up choosing the
最
right
终必须
house.
选择的时候，
You
有的
won't
时候
even
就
need a
指向
feng
了
shui
它就
consultant.
是好的。
What's the
功
reason
德福
behind your
报的
decision?
啊，真的是这
Purely
样。这个
intuition.
与
When
聪
your
明
feng
没什么
shui
关系。
consultant and
我们
property
所说的
agent
一般
think
的
it's a
聪明
bad
智慧
decision,
通常是通过说，比如说人考试分数高，有2大原因造成的。
it turns
第一个
out
就
that
记
you're
性，
buying the
老
house
师
with
说
the
的记
best
住，
feng
夫
shui.
妻2遍的记得特
You
别清
did
楚，
well
就是
even when you
不
ended
考
up
试
in
的
a
准。
job nobody
啊，
wanted.
还
What
有呢，
made you
脑
choose
子
it?
清醒，逻辑判断能力很强。比如做数学题，
Your
对不对？
intuition told you to
哎，一
choose
看之
it.
后，哎，一思考
It's
觉得
your
是这么
merits
回
that
事
are
儿，就
helping
就
you.
出来了。
That's
但
how
是
it
呢，
is.
好
This
运
has
气的
nothing to
判
do
断，
with how
你
smart
可以
you
没判
are.
断力，
How do we
但
judge a
是
smart
神
person?
佛领着你
We
判
look
断
at
那个
their
人，就在那
academic
个地方。
grades, right? Some people score well in
就
exams
我这
thanks
个
to
很
their
多
good
年讲法
memory.
的时候，我觉得，哎，我说了
They
半天
have
我都
no
没有思考
problem
过。
remembering things.
我说完了之后还挺佩服自己，哎，我说的挺好的啊，这谁让我说的？
Some
你
have
自己
good
也不知道他
analytical
说的这些
skills.
话，这些东西不是你自己要
When
判断的，
solving a math
就你
problem,
有那个福
they
气，
can
神
sort
佛
out
带
the
着你去做，
equation in their mind
就
straight
是这样
away.
的，这是大福气哈。
Luck is a
曾经一
totally
个
different
菩
thing.
提的
You
一个
can be
女
poor
师
at
姐，
analyzing
哎，
things
她
but
就跟
still
我说
make
她老
right
公
decisions.
说，哎，她当时是个乡巴佬，我是个城市的，我
I
爸还
never
是
write
干部。
scripts for my
哎，
teachings.
我这些着了魔似的时候，我就看上她。
I'm
人家
quite
这个城
impressed
市
at
姑娘和
myself
我
for
们
my
这位美籍，
spontaneous
她长
speeches.
相还
I've
不错，
no idea who or what
对，
helps
当然
me in
学历
my
也不错。
speeches.
因
It's
为我
not
父母
because
我
I
的
have
朋
the
友都介绍
smartest
3个以
brain.
上，3
When
个
you
教
are
过的以上，
blessed, the Buddha
都
and
是各种
deities
条
will
件很
guide
好，
you.
对不对？
It's true.
可
It's
是
a
她
symbol of
就
great
看上了其中一
blessings.
个刚从农
Once,
村
a
来2年
female
到
practitioner
城
told
市的
me
人，
how she,
她就
a
看上
city
他了。
girl, fell for a
啊，
guy from the
现在是那个省的
countryside.
首
This
富，
woman's dad used to
这
be
没
a
办法
high-ranking officer. She
啊。
was madly in
所
love
以
with the guy who came
她
from
经
the
常给她老公一
countryside.
发脾气，说，
She
哼，
was quite
就是我有福
attractive
气，
and
你
had a
看
good
把你一
educational
个乡巴佬
background.
啊变成全省的首富了，是不是啊？你看我多
Her
有福，
parents
还真
introduced
是。
3 guys
所以
who
我
could
们这样
match
以
her
弟
in
子聪明
terms
归
of
聪明，他
status
说
and
我就
overall
没有
background.
判断，我就
In
这
the
个好。
end, she
可
chose
是
the
人家
guy
其他
from the
几个人长
countryside
相呢，
who just
家乡
moved
背
to the
景呢，
city 2
这
years
个学历
prior.
呢，都是不差的，我们就觉
Now,
得他
this
好呢，
guy is
这
the
叫福
wealthiest
气。
man in their
哎，所以
province.
菩提弟子哈也觉得，
She
有一个
always
人要结
jokes
婚
that
那
it
个
was
对
her
象好的
merits
话，
that
那个人有福
transformed her
啊。
husband
所
into
以
what
这是
he is
修来的
today.
啊。我们现在也在修啊。你说我怎么修啊？现在跟着我天
I've
天
lived
上
a
课都
very
是在
blessed
修，
life.
懂
She
得这个道
indeed
理照着
has.
做，这就
She
是修。
wasn't thinking with
那
much
一
logic
念
back
慈悲
then.
善念升起就是修啊，就是
She
这
just
样。
thought the guy
好，
was husband material. The other 3 guys'
今天呢，
qualifications didn't
我们
change
都
her
沾了
mind.
佛光，沾了大慈大
This
悲、
is
大
truly to
誓
be
愿
blessed.
啊、
You're
大
lucky
威
if
力
you're
的
chosen by
这个
any
地
of our
藏王菩
female
萨的光啊，
practitioners.
无论是给在这个
However,
下三界
blessings
的
don't
啊，
come
地
free,
狱的
you
啊，
cultivate
还
them.
是我们
How?
在世间的
Listening to
人
my
啊，都
teachings
是
and
沾着
following
福
along
气，
to this class
让
each
我们更
day
加
are all
健
cultivation.
康、快乐、
Cultivation begins at the moment
幸福、吉
compassion
祥。
begins to
哎，
arise.
这个寿比南
Okay.
山，福如东海啊！我
Today,
们
we are
下
all
次再
blessed by
见。
the great compassionate vow of the powerful earth store Bodhisattva. The blessings will reach the 3 lower realms, and all of us in this world as well will all receive the blessings. We're going to be healthier, happier, and more auspicious. We're going to live longer with great fortune.
人生就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，
我幸福了，我美丽了。
在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点里，人生变得神奇。我智慧了，我宽容了，我慈悲了，我自在了。因为有了你，生命变得更坚定，不忧忧无虑。因为有了你，日子不再有哭泣，不再有恐惧。我快乐了，我快乐了，我健康了，我健康了，我幸福了，我幸福了，我美丽了，我美丽
在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点里，人生就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。
在茫茫人海之中，让我与您相遇。小小的红点里，人生变得神奇。我智慧了，我智慧了，我宽容了，我宽容了，我慈悲了，我慈悲了，我自在了，我自在了。因为有了你，了解生命的真理，修行的理义。因为有了你，日子犹如彩虹般，彩虹般美丽。我快乐了，我快乐了，我健康了，我健康了，我幸福了，我幸福了，我美丽了，我美丽了，我快乐了，我快乐了，我美丽了，我美丽了，我幸福了，我幸福了，我美丽了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与您相遇。小小的红点里，人生就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，
我幸福了，我美丽了。
在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点里，人生变得神奇。我智慧了，我宽容了，我慈悲了，我自在了。因为有了你，生命变得更坚定，不忧忧无虑。因为有了你，日子不再有哭泣，不再有恐惧。 在茫茫人海之中，让我与您相遇。小小的红点里，人生就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点里，人生变得神奇。我智慧了，我宽容了，我慈悲了，我自在了。因为有了你，生命变得更坚定，不忧忧无虑。因为有了你，日子不再有哭泣，不再有